Guys, what's up? Back for another stream today. I know it's been a long week. This is my fourth stream now. So today we got something special announced. So we're not, as you can see, maybe this is not my screen. This is actually the screen of the man I'm going to be introducing. Um, we are going to start a PLO project. So some of you guessed it in the chat, and it was a little disappointing. I couldn't confirm nor deny, but yeah, we've had a lot of requests from people who said like, "Hey, I want to get no limit hold'em coaching as well as PLO coaching, or just only PLO." And we just had to turn them down because some of our coaches know to play like some PLO, but that wouldn't be fair. Like we really wanted to take our time, find somebody or find a few good coaches that are really competent, and then set up. You also have to set up like an entire infrastructure. It's not about just teaching people how to play their hands well. It's also about like doing everything, having a professionally set up business. So yeah, we're happy to announce that starting today we're going to be accepting PLO students. Our guest today is our head PLO coach. Well, I'm just gonna let you introduce yourself. So go ahead.
Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks. So, first of all, really glad to be here. Really glad to be part of the project, part of the Love the Spot community.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope that everything is working properly. You guys can hear us, and the stream is up and
Yeah.
running.
Probably tell people your screen name so they have something
Yeah.
to
So,
call you.
Runchuks or Runchuks, whatever you want to call me, you can see it in the left top corner. We have a
Mm-hmm.
little avatar of both me and MMA Sherdog up there. So
Mm-hmm. And
if
so
you
what?
guys can hear us, just please go on the chat. Let us know.
Yeah. So what kind of games do you play mostly?
Well, I focus on PLO. I do play everything really, but mostly it's PLO. Online, I focus on 2-5, 5-10 type of stakes
Mm-hmm.
in that region. So and whatever is running really.
Mm-hmm. And so what is your general like approach to PLO?
Well,
I know that's kind of a broad question.
that is a broad question. Well, yeah. Oh, all is good. Thanks, man. So we have one confirmation that we're live. So
Yeah.
that's cool. So my general approach. Well, first of all, I've been playing poker for over 10 years now, and always like improving my game. That was part of the challenge, part of what makes it interesting for me, the whole poker thing. So my approach in PLO, considering how complex the game is, I try to simplify the game as much as I can. I try to measure um, as much as I can. I do a lot of work with solvers, a lot of hand analysis, etc., etc. Um, so that's basically general. And also, I play, like I mentioned, I play online, but big part of my year is actually spent traveling the world and playing live, where I play whatever stakes are running, mostly 50,
Mm-hmm.
51, 1-2 games all over the world. And mentally, it's two different approaches, right? When you play live and when you play online, because the focus is on different things. Um, so, what kind of lost my thought here, but
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you
I
try.
like to measure my results. I like to know what I'm doing so that I can find out where I need to improve.
Hmm. Yeah, so you like having like a structured approach, like working
Oh
with
yes,
solvers, like always trying to
oh
improve
yeah,
your game. So yeah, that
always my
that that's
motto.
maybe like when people play live, you often think like have they been working on their game enough? Are they technical enough? But you play most of the year, you play online, so it's not like
Yeah,
some guys who've just moved to live and you question are their fundamentals still good enough? But that's
right,
probably your strong point actually. So
right. Well, and
I mean,
actually, at the tables that I'm sitting at live, it's surprising to see how many people actually work with solvers. It's the things changed. Maybe some five
yeah.
years ago, the people at those stakes they were just, they didn't know what a solver is. Nowadays, it's way different.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, I'm actually, for selfish reasons, I'm also excited because to start the PLO project, because I've been trying to learn PLO myself. Of course, I have to play no limit and do all kinds of other things. So I'm just kind of slowly learning it. But I'm excited that you're going to be coaching. We're going to have another coach. We have another coach as well. He plays low stakes and a bit of mid stakes. So if let's say you want to sign up and you're not that experienced yet, that's you don't have to worry about that, because we have coaches for all levels. So, but yeah, I'm excited about it because I want to pick up some tips as well. So, because my PLO game is not terrible, but it's definitely not great. So, I'm looking forward to learning. So, in a bit, we're gonna be reviewing some stuff, and then I'm gonna be asking some noob questions, and then you're gonna try not to laugh and give me some answers, hopefully.
Okay. Well, actually, maybe you could tell people why, in the first place, why did you decide to improve your PLO game? What's in it for you?
Um, Basically because when I'm at live trips, I mean, I tend to only play 1500 plus when I'm live, but the thing is, that game is not always running. So, for instance, I'll register and I'll be like fourth in the wait list, and it will take me like 4 hours to get on the table. So that's 4 hours where I could be making money, where I'd have to play really low, where it's not really worth it for me. Or I could maybe play something like 5k PLO, 10k PLO, and I could just, I have four like productive hours.
Right,
So
right.
plus, I feel like improving my PLO game improves my no limit hold'em game as well. I had that a few years ago when I started playing fixed limit hold'em. I noticed I was getting a lot better at no limit as well. Just my overall understanding of the game was better.
Yeah, yeah, I totally see what you mean. I feel the same way. And in fact,
Mhm.
so I suppose I'm gonna be playing with you in Vegas this year then, or next year rather,
Um,
right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean,
If you're gonna
yeah.
be spending your time with the PLO table. That's
Yeah,
really
I was
cool.
I was I was quite ambitious this year. I mean, I played some half and half, 20k PLO, 20k no limit.
Oh, that was
So
a good game, yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you saw that game. So yeah,
I did see
so
that game, yeah, and I was actually regretting not being at the level to sit down with
mm,
my no limit hold'em knowledge,
yeah. Yeah, so it'd even be nice to like
Probably,
exchange some
yeah,
information both ways.
yeah,
Because I mean, if you're playing eight-handed with four amateurs, I mean, you don't need to play that well. So I mean, of course, when I'm gonna be playing live high six PLO, I'm still gonna be, I'm not gonna be a superstar. So I'm just gonna look to play a little bit tighter, play like a little bit more straightforward. So I'm still winning in the PLO round, but not maximizing EV. But then, of
yeah.
course, hopefully doing very well at no limit. But yeah, I think just overall, just being a more well-rounded poker player is very important.
Oh yeah.
So, and also, of course, I mean, if let's say no limit hold'em games are a bit dry, and I see like, okay, I can play like I have two 5Ks no limit hold'em, I see two 5Ks PLO. It's just that's a great grind. So I don't
Right.
mind like adding in a few tables. Of course, online you'll have to game select a little bit harder than live.
True.
So, but yeah, I think it's very important to like round out your skill set.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's why we also want to start it here because we were looking around that people also have stables, and like everybody either coaches tournaments or no limit hold'em cash. So there was nobody at like a very serious level was also coaching PLO, even though probably almost as many people play online PLO as no limit hold'em. So
Right.
we thought, why not? So, but I mean, I am not going to be a coach for PLO. Maybe in the future, but I mean, right now that would just be unfair to just say like, "Hey, I'm not bad at no limit. I'm just also going to be able to coach you in PLO because I don't have enough of a clue." As in, I can like maneuver myself, but I don't think I can explain my thoughts well enough. So that's why you're here.
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm here, and hopefully I help you get to this level really soon as well.
yeah, that would be good. That would be good. So there's always a couple of PLO players who move over to no limit. For instance, Barry Sweet. Is he the world's best PLO player? He's at least up
I
there.
think he's one of the, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
He's really really good.
yeah. So I mean, I know he's been playing some no limit hold'em as well. It makes sense because if that guy game selects hard enough, he can be winning at no limit, even though he's a bit weaker. But he has the money for it. So if he just
Hmm.
sees like an open seat at 10k no limit with a fish, why wouldn't you join? Because that is definitely plus EV for you. So again,
Of
it's
course.
very or let's say he's waiting for a PLO game and he sees like a 1500 live game no limit popping up. Why would you not play? Make a few $100 EV and before you get into the PLO game instead of just sitting around and texting your friends.
Yeah, exactly. Especially nowadays with with all the high stakes online games drying up a bit, and that you actually do end up sitting and waiting for a game a bit longer than it used to be, it really makes sense that you can, because there's a lot of things going on there. Even if you can play the 10 game, for example, it's great. Sometimes it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Um, okay, so what are we gonna do for today? What did you prepare? What are we gonna be looking at? Because we want to do like have some information, but not just be too dry. We also want to like show you guys some stuff, like some different thought processes.
Yeah. We wanna show some stuff, and we do wanna encourage as many questions as possible. So we actually try to answer the questions as they come up.
Okay.
So right now we have in the background just one table Zoom running. We are just observing it. Oh, actually, you know what? How about this? There's something more interesting going on right now. So let's just keep it in the background. If we see some really cool hand, well, we'll just comment on that and perhaps review. And like you said, you might be having some questions about what's going on, etc. So we discuss from that perspective.
Yeah.
A question I see already is, well, first of all, yeah, exciting project. Thanks, man. What's your view on Jane Endo's setup? Well,
All right.
I don't really know what do you mean by setup, but
I think what he does, I think he just sells a video library. I don't think it's personalized coaching.
he does a lot of things. I mean, Jane Endos is probably one of the biggest names in the educational part for PLO. But it's mostly, yeah, like you said, it's the video library. They do some one-on-one coaching, I think. It's, I mean, what's my view on that? Well, I mean, he's doing a good job. I like him.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to like. We're gonna try to be fairly nice today, but a couple of bang bangs are definitely fine. So that is definitely not inappropriate. So
Yeah.
I mean, like what I don't know Jay Nandez's setup exactly. I mean, otherwise I would have told you. But I think it's very important that that coaching is personal. So I mean, watching a runner one's video can definitely help,
Yeah.
but so just improving your all-around game. But everybody's gonna develop different leagues, and you need somebody to look at specifically at your leagues to really plug them.
Of course.
So and that is very difficult when let's say Sauce is like a two tabling live Zoom session where he's just discussing every single spot. Where let's say button big blind you're very comfortable c betting, but you're very uncomfortable playing three bet pots out of position, and in those 50 minutes maybe none of those hands come into play.
Exactly.
So and then you kind of miss things. Or let's say you that situation does happen and you flop middle set, then you just go like bet bet bet. And you're like, okay, well, I'm good enough to bet 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 with middle set, but not really discussing like, hey, I'm worried about like I don't know what to do with like the bottom of my value range or things like that.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But if you have somebody like a personal coach, they can filter your database, or you can really look at different statistics or hands and really see, okay, like this is what we need to target. So that is, I mean, that's why I think personalized coaching is just way better, even though video library is helpful, but you it's showing you moves, but it's not telling you how the moves are set up and how to change those moves.
Right, you're exactly right. And in fact, I should have probably specified in my answer that we're doing a completely different thing from Jane Endos. You can't really compare. I mean, like you said, his product is more focused on the video, etc. We are really focusing on helping individual people improve, and we are sort of invested in it. We are interested to make our students as good as we can, right? We're not interested in just selling some video content.
Yep.
So it's a different thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it was important for us to do it, because so many people like really wanted personalized PLO coaching.
Right.
So, let's maybe look at a couple of different Zoom hands, see what's going on.
Let's look at a few different Zoom hands. I just quickly address. There's a couple questions. When is this happening? It's happening now. We're it. That's it. We can sign up right now.
Yeah.
Today we announce it, and we're good to go.
Yeah, Arthur, maybe if people are interested, you should just go to the website and look for the application. Like Arthur, maybe you can link it here on Twitch. It would be a bit easier for people. So you can just tell like, hey, okay, like what is my current situation? How many hands do I play? What am I looking to accomplish by getting coach? And then we can see if we're if we can work something out.
Yeah, exactly. And another
Um,
question, there's what's the difference between Hold'em and Omaha? You know what? I think we're gonna come back to that. We're definitely gonna address it at some point. Um,
mhm,
yeah, so let's just review something.
sure.
Let's review a
Um,
couple hands and then get back to the questions.
Yeah, wait, quickly, two questions. How much would you say your hourly coaching should cost? Should cost, that's kind of difficult to say, but this would not be hourly coaching because it's coaching for profit. So it's basically you we improve you and then you win and then you would pay a percentage of those winnings because it incentivizes us to do a great job. Whereas if you do hourly coaching, if you do a terrible job, you still have to pay. Which so the coach is not really as incentivized to really give it his all. Whereas if the coach now does a poor job, that's gonna no, that's bad for everybody. So, but yeah, if you're looking to get coached in No Limit Hold'em or in PLO by somebody who plays like mid high stakes, that's gonna be costing you a couple $100 an hour for sure. And I mean that is quite a bit of money, but it's worth it because you're gonna get carry that knowledge with you for the rest of your poker career. And then is PLO the future of poker? It's kind of like up and down where a few years ago it was like really taking over and it was like much bigger in No Limit Hold'em than No Limit Hold'em, at least for mid and high stakes. And then it kind of died down again and then it livened up again. So it's like kind of up and down. It's probably like almost even with No Limit. That's why it's so strange why there's almost no content out there for PLO. You would think that therefore it's also almost 50-50. And also for a PLO, I think there's more like people who got like secrets, who have an edge that they're not willing to give away. So maybe that's why there's not as much content out there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think you're right about that.
so I mean that's why like if you then can find people who are willing to show you the difference between you being solid and being great, that's going to be extra valuable.
Right.
Anyway,
And the future of poker in general, like we already discussed with you, and like you mentioned that it's up and down, it's shifting. I mean, the future of poker is game selecting. It's playing the game that's the best game right now, right? So knowing how
yep.
to play PLO, knowing how to play Hold'em, it's all very valuable. And at some point,
Hmm.
um, like we just discussed this game in Vegas, right? The one that we
Hmm.
both wanted to play and didn't really. The mixed game. If you know all the games, you can just play whatever is the best game in town.
Yep. I agree. Mixed game is a bit trickier because I mean you often have to learn 8 games or actually more
Oh
because
yeah.
live they actually make up like random games on the spot.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
playing up to 16 games is pretty tricky, but I would say learning the big two or learning well, it used to be limit hold'em, but that's not popular anymore. So learning the two main games is very important. So I don't think that anytime soon we're going to be offering, let's say, a short deck because that's one of those games that's very popular right now, but in a couple of years from now, it's probably dying down. I mean, like you had Pineapple before. I mean, you always have like new games.
Yeah, true.
So, but yeah, No Limit Hold'em and PLO, even if let's say PLO is bigger in a few years or the other way around, they're never really gonna go away, as a short deck might.
True. Um, shall we address the other questions while they're up there?
Maybe let's do a hand or two and then we'll have a
Let's do
look.
a hand or two.
But yeah, keep asking
Okay.
questions, guys.
So, how do we go about it? Do we try to? Well, let's see. There was a showdown. Showdown's always interesting. So let's go
Sure.
from the beginning. What happened? Let's see. Cutoff opens. We got a 3-bet. So first of all, what do you think? That's a big difference in PLO and Hold'em, probably, right? First thing you probably notice is that people do pot pre-flop
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to playing smaller sizings as you guys do in Hold'em.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we get a call, which is common because you don't nearly fold nearly as much as you do in Hold'em versus
Mm-hmm.
the 3-bets.
Yeah.
Um, So in fact, yeah, in PLO you get a lot of these pots which are already like with a decent part of money on the flop.
Yeah, you don't have to fold much to three bets because equities run fairly close.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, still nowadays people are picking up a bit, and it used to be that people just don't fold three bets at all. Nowadays they do realize that hey, there's a decent chunk of your range that you have to fold against a three bet out of position.
Yeah.
So that's changing a bit, but
Yeah, and you therefore also have to raise bigger because if you don't raise big, you have basically zero fold equity
oh yeah,
pre-flop.
oh yeah,
And for instance, if you're in a cutoff, if you're raising, if let's say you're min raising, you're giving in position a great price when he has a lot of equity. Whereas in all limit hold'em, yeah, you're giving him a great price, but he often has such little equity that he still can't do anything about it. Or if you min raise the button in no limit hold'em, if he has like 6-3 offsuit, you still cannot call. Because your equity against imposition is just really bad and your playability is very bad. Whereas in PLO, since it runs closer, you would just basically have no fold equity. And then because post flop, you also have less of an equity difference, it's going to be hard to make him fold.
right.
So anyway, it's you can do the coaching, not me,
Okay,
because
well,
I'm probably going to say something stupid at some point.
well,
Anyway.
anyway, let's see. So what's happening? So this guy called a three bet. Now we do expect that he's just gonna check, right? It's very unlikely that he's leading on this ace high board. I guess that's what happened. A nice little 1/3 pot size bet. That's pretty standard nowadays. Some people would bet smaller than this, especially on an ace high board. And mind you, this is a very lockdown board.
Because it's a board where he either has a pretty good hand or absolutely nothing.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. And considering that how many, like, what types of hands does the cutoff have in this situation? Well, he's not gonna have a straight that often, and there's no flush draws, etc., etc. And this is like one of the main considerations in PLO, just really understanding the board texture and understanding how it interacts with the opponent's range. The hands that opponent has.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I know we saw the showdown, so I suppose we get a call. It would be very unlikely that he check raises here. So he does
Yeah.
call.
So this board is kind of this. It works kind of the same as no limit as in PLO.
Yeah.
Where the ace is just better for the raiser, and the 3 and the 4 and the low cards are kind of irrelevant. So in position was already ahead, and the ace moves him ahead even more, and there's nothing really going on that improves out of position.
Exactly.
So whatever we do, we have to be aggressive.
Right. So let's see the turn. Okay, the turn. Jack of diamonds again. I don't expect a lead here by the cutoff, so we probably see a check. We do, and yeah, a nice pot size bet. I like that bet. I mean, it's a good line to take. 1/3 pot size on the flop and just bomb it on the turn. It's pretty good.
Is it because the board is a bit more wet and your range needs more protection?
Yeah, well, it's sort of yes, because the diamond did come, so now there's some flush draws, and we also have extra wraps, like king, queen, 10 now is a pretty strong hand. So basically the idea here is if the button is bluffing or if he's value betting, he's just better off putting as much money as he can in the flop on the board, right?
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so because basically if the cutoff has equity to call, he's gonna call the pot size bet. He's very unlikely to check raise with something that he would, So the way to make the most money here is probably to go for the pot size bet, like the button actually won.
Okay. If the turn didn't bring a flush shot, would you then consider betting smaller?
With these stack sizes, it really depends what card was it. If it was a jack of clubs, I think still betting huge is good. But then, to be honest, there's going to be a mixed strategy. With some of the hands you would want to bet huge. With some of the hands you want to still bet small. On the diamond, on the jack of diamonds, I think there's more hands that are interested in betting just big.
Okay.
Anyway, and okay, we have a check raise. That's cool. Well, let's see. All right, so he turned a set. Easy game, and he in fact he was already ahead on the flop. That's cool.
Okay.
So what do you think about these hands? Like, what do you see here?
Um, well, I was thinking when I saw for imposition, I mean, he does have a decent amount of equity no matter what because he has the nut flush draw, and I
Hmm.
guess he has two queens as an out sometimes as well. So at the same time, it's probably like it. You can never be that far behind, I guess, but it's probably difficult to get a lot of worse hands to call by out of position, right? Because I mean, you're trying to get him to call with something like a wrap or something like that, which doesn't raise the flop, or something, or you're trying to get him to call with something like a lower ace. Well, it's probably difficult for him to get a ton of value here. So it's one of those hands where it feels a little bit there. I mean, once you pot, you obviously have to get it in, but it feels a little bit thin. And if we're out of position, would you fold this hand pre-flop to a three bet?
We started 100 big blinds deep, so
Yeah.
no, I
Okay.
wouldn't. If we
Okay. So
were a bit more shallow with the stacks, then yeah,
yeah,
I can consider. But
because having the three is just really bad.
having a 3 is better than having a 6, but yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, okay. Well, what do you think about the and also the fact that he raised pre-flop or raised the flop? I guess it means that he chooses to check raise very little on the flop. Because I mean, it's probably a reasonable hand to check raise, right?
It is a reasonable hand to check raise, but I suppose he's a thinking player. I know this guy is pretty good. Well, I think I remember that he's pretty good, and it's one of those boards when you don't really check raise much here. There's really no good reason to check raise a lot, and since he's not check raising a lot, this is a really nice hand to check call with, and yeah, probably on many turns I think he would just be check potting it to get it in.
Yeah. So then any non-Broadway turn, probably, right?
Yeah, most likely. I mean, yeah. It really depends. Maybe he has some reads on the other player, but actually one thing that you did mention about this is being a bit too thin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I love that pot size bet here with this specific hand by the imposition player. Maybe he had his reasons. There's a lot of dynamics in these games. There's a lot of history between the players, so maybe there's something going on.
Mm-hmm. But you think that he just doesn't have enough absolute hand strength to get it in because our opponent is just not calling it off with worse aces, whatever, often enough.
Yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
think so, especially with us blocking the queens. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have the nut flush draw. It's just a nice hand to check back and make some money on the river potentially. I
Yeah.
don't hate his shove. It's one of those things. You can go for it. It really depends on what his general strategy is in the spot. If he really thinks it's important to have this type of hand in his range there to balance, well, that says a lot about the rest of his range, right? Be one of those hands that is worth taking a note on when you're playing.
Yeah. It probably means that once the next time he checks back, he's probably pretty weak
Yeah,
because if he's not checking back a medium strength hand, then what is he checking back?
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that is something that you guys definitely have to think about. You always have to think about your entire range because especially here, if you're betting maybe your full range or close to it, you're gonna have a lot of medium strength hands. So if you're checking those back and then you're betting slightly better than that, that means that when you check back, you just always have a medium strength hand at best, unless you start checking back hands that are way better to bet with, which doesn't make as much sense. So
Right.
then, one imposition leads river. There's really not much you can like call and lose, or you can just fold, which means you just fold way too much. Your opponent makes too much money, and then we haven't even talked about him. Potentially over bluffing river because then he can exploit you. So even if you don't overfold, I mean, even if he doesn't exploit you, he knowingly he's still making extra money. So you guys, it's important to mix up your strategy, both in PLO and no limit.